I'm Leo Carlton and I'm a milliner. My millinery career has been, up until this point, to learn the tradition, to then break it a bit. The virtual reality came after the 3D print. I was exploring selective laser sintering with polyamide while I was at university because I was interested in how you could print ball joints on moving parts, but it needed no assembly. I was also exploring it because I felt like this could be where the world is going, and I've always been into new technology. And then my material use of how I use the 3D printer changed. As I was making more work, as I was collaborating more, I had a guilt about what I was bringing out into the world. I found PLA, polylactic acid, which is fermented plant starch. It's biodegradable, which is insane. If I was creating a typical hat in this process, I like to research a lot. I have lots of images around me that I can then also have in the virtual reality space. I like to sketch as well. I will sketch on virtual reality, but I'll also sketch on paper. If a client came to me, I could 3D scan their head. They could come to me with a certain object, or I have an object I could 3D scan and work with. I use photogrammetry, where you take a series of photographs around the object, and then in a program, all of these photos build the shape. When I'm in it, you have two triggers. It's like you're adding clay, so you can add, you can take away, you can stretch, shape, swirl, rescale. I can copy it, do a few other slight variations to it until I'm happy. I like to sleep on it. And then we get it ready to print. I normally use a technician at this point. We clean up the file, so then we use G-code for the printer. I print it in a series of parts, and then I put it all together. Once the PLA hat is printed and put together, at that point it can also be interesting where I go with it. It can basically be fully customizable. I'm incorporating air plants because I like that I can add them onto the headpieces without soil. I want the headpieces themselves to be on a stand and not to be bought and left in a box. I quite like the idea of it having another life where it could be a vase or a piece of art or sculpture that you could have in your house. It's just about thinking, what else can a hat be? I mean, it doesn't just have to be on your head. From my background of being from a farm, I mean, all of my inspiration has always been the natural world anyway. So it feels like I'm growing plants overnight, but you can put them on your head. There's only so many changes you can make to a physical mock-up. In VR, you can so quickly sketch a shape, change the shape, minimize it, save a version of it. I can scan things that I find, textures, shapes, and I can work on top of that as well. It's a lot less wasteful, it's a lot more fluid. I can generate ideas better, and it gives me more to work with and to cut and edit. But there's something really interesting about how you could internationally share files, maybe encrypted files, so it can only be printed so many times. There are so many international printing companies now as well that effectively someone in Australia could buy the product from that company and then could have it printed in Australia, so then it's not endless things coming back to me to then send out to the consumer. I'm not producing what I don't need. I showcase my practice online with a recently released virtual reality website. So it works almost like a game where you can walk around the exhibition space. You can see moving animations of how some of my hats work. The way technology is going, I was just envisioning this world where maybe you can log into a virtual reality store and you are walking around it and you see a product, you can see it on yourself and you can buy it on the site and then it comes to you. There's another space to show your work. It's like Sims. I do feel responsible to be sustainable, or at least try to be sustainable. I feel like at least every fashion design student should have that as an automatic now. The end goal would be for people to be inspired. Just keep finding out new ways to approach the creative industry, I don't think it has to be something so overbought and produced. I'd like a bit of growth, but only enough so I can keep growing my hats. We are so aware of what's going on in the world now, so what's the point in just feeding the fire when you could, like, not feed the fire? I thought I was going to say something really epic then, but